Yes, my friends, welcome back. We have more big updates to discuss today. Here are the latest news surrounding our efforts to sign Ugarte. We have more updates around Romelu Lukaku, and we end things by discussing a very interesting report from the Times suggesting that some staff members may consider leaving the club if all the COBHAM grads end up leaving this summer. So right now we have tons of things to discuss because this summer is going to be massive, as they have been continuously now for the past few seasons. But I'm hoping this is the summer we finally get things right. But I feel like I've said this for the past 4 years right now, so only time's gonna tell, right? So if you guys are feeling a bit more optimistic about the future than me, then show your support, hit that like button, and if you like the video, you guys know what that like button is too. So my friends, without wasting any more time, so right now, let's discuss the latest reports around Romelu Lukaku. And courtesy of multiple reports coming out from Italy, they report that Pochettino wants to hold those final, conclusive talks with Lukaku surrounding his future for next season. Now, Pochettino admires Lukaku, and one thing that Lukaku has that Pochettino was hoping to add more of in the squad for next season is experience times Premier League experience. And Lukaku has got double digits nearly every season in the Prem. He's an experienced figure. He's won league titles as well too. And if we're being very honest and open about the potential difficulties at securing like a top level striker in this summer window, yeah, it does make sense that you're going to fully maximize and explore every possibility to see whether you can bring Lukaku back to the football club. So, you know, I'm not opposed to this news. I mean, I understand the sense behind it. I know that Lukaku isn't for everyone. I mean, I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong about that. I got my own different thoughts and opinions, of course. For me, I think this whole controversy didn't really bother me as much. I feel like I said the same thing back last year when all this stuff was coming out too. And I guess the reality simply is this: the club that Lukaku left 12 months ago is completely new right now. And there's brand new staff, medical team, completely new players, and, you know, a new manager where maybe his ideas, his philosophy, his tactics, his system would suit and complement you a lot more than under Thomas Tuchel. And that's because Pochettino has a track record. And all the strikers he has gets double-digit goals. I mean, he plays an aggressive, attacking, high-intense football that creates a lot of very good and consistent chances. And the reality is, once that Champions League final is over, he is going to return back to us. So I'm curious to know if he does actually represent us during pre-season. That would allow Pochettino to really just get an idea of Lukaku even more. I think from Lukaku's side, he most definitely will hear the thoughts of Pochettino out of respect and also out of professionalism, because keep your options open. Who knows if Inter Milan can't afford to sign you or find a different alternative to you. So I understand why they're going to hold talks, but in my opinion, I'm still not expecting Lukaku to remain. Now, Inter Milan are hoping to tie him down to another loan spell, but this time they want him for reduced loan fees. And last year when they bought him, they paid around £8 million to sign him from us, and they contributed to most of his wages. But Inter Milan have already got assurances from Lukaku now that he is going to reduce his wages to be able to make this move happen next season back to Inter Milan. So in that sense, the ball really is in our court. But ideally, if we were to sell Lukaku, we'd want around 69 million. We've amortized most of his fees. We've earned some decent money from his first loan spell back at Inter. So for me, yeah, I'm just hoping we do great business with Inter so we can find like a good package to actually get Lukaku off the wage bill now. You know, for me, if we can agree upon another loan spell, but this time there's like an aggressive option to buy that is guaranteed after he plays a certain amount of games, a certain amount of goals, etc., etc., that is the only deal I'm accepting right now. And if Inter Milan win the Champions League, they've secured Champions League football again for next season, then who knows what's going to happen, yeah? So that is the first story out of the way. Let's discuss all these latest updates around Ugarte. And as we know, over the past 48 to 24 hours, we have been actively pursuing and holding talks to try and get this deal over the line. Now, we understand that Ugarte is being targeted based on Pochettino's recommendations. And Pochettino wants to have a 6, but this 6 needs to be extremely proficient defensively. They have to excel at many defensive metrics. He really wants to have that defensive block in the base of our midfield, and that is an important thing, because if you're going to have fullbacks getting high and wide in the final third, you need a DM that can cover those spaces in behind when your fullbacks are getting forward. It's common sense. And for me, yeah, Ugarte is excellent in many defensive capacities. I mean, one-on-one duels, covering grounds, you know, positioning, tackles, 50, I can go on. This guy can do it. And the bonus is that he is positive on the ball and he can play forwards. And it's quite obvious what the game plan is, right? You're signing Ugarte to unlock Enzo Fernandez and let him fully take advantage of his attacking talents, because this is a guy that can get you double digits for goals and assists easily if you create that role for him on the right hand side of a midfield three. Now, when he was playing for Benfica, he had Florentino Luis beside him. He was playing as that ball-winning midfield player. They had an excellent partnership. But even then, I felt like Enzo was maybe a bit deeper because he was playing more that Fabregas deep line playmaker role. But for me, I just feel like after seeing this guy's game in Argentina, he can do even more and can be unlocked more if he is really able to play more in the final thirds. Now, in terms of the final package, good news is we've already agreed wages and contract terms with Ugarte, which is great news. And in terms of how we want to finance and pay for this transfer, ideally we hope to pay for things by offering things in full equal installments, whilst adding 1 or 2 loan players back in return to get this deal over the line. So it seems like Pochettino has won and he's getting the first signing of his reign as our new manager. But it does seem like we plan to invest even more in midfields with heavy interest in Casado and Romelu Lavia, 2 players I've talked about many a time on this football channel. Lavia has been patiently waiting for us to get back on that phone again to talk to in advance a lot more. Joe Shields plus, many scouts at the club highly recommend him. And for his potential fee now that Southampton have been relegated, you're signing a future leading Premier League DM for a relatively affordable fee. So I think that's definitely going to be explored. And of course, Casado, Paul Winston-Lee Stewart, many of people here have pursued Casado and see him as the key guy to have alongside Enzo Fernandez. But with all this interest and focus around other midfield targets, it's starting to make you think that we are planning to maybe invest a bit more money into a few more positions than we're actually originally realizing. And I'm starting to think, is that going to be a future where we don't see N'Golo Kante? Hence why we could sign a Casado on top, because there could be a bit of a merry-go-round going along right now. If we sign Ugarte and beat Paris Saint-Germain to a signature, then technically that could free Paris Saint-Germain to be able to make a move for N'Golo Kante. Kante is on very high wages. Paris Saint-Germain could most definitely do with Kante in their midfield alongside guys like Vitinha, for example. And reports have suggested that Kante could be open to moving. Reports always say this around Kante. I'm still not too sure. We know that some reports came out straight after our final game against Newcastle where Kante, responded back to a fan when he asked him about his future. And he was like, yeah, maybe, who knows right now. So is that implying he needs to find the right contract before he signs? Does he have to have those final talks with Pochettino? Or is he actually considering, listen, I've been at this football club for a long time now. I want to go back home and maybe play my final best years of my career back in France, which would also be options. And I think that signing Ugarte frees that up, and that would allow us to then sign another defensive profile in midfield. And it seems like the whole plan is to fully rebuild the entire squad right now. And yeah, the future, man, is happening very fast. So that's the latest around Ugarte and maybe more midfields. I wouldn't be surprised if Lavia comes alongside him. Maybe Casado. Who knows? But big things are going to happen, my guys. So right now, let's end things by discussing this article today from the Times. And the article discusses the potential summer clear out of academy grads at this football club. Now, as we know, reports have been heavily suggesting that Mason Mount, Gallagher, Ruben, Jalaba, Hudson-Odoi, all of these players that have come from our academy are probably going to be sold or could be going during this summer window. Now, yesterday we saw Mason Mount taken in the stadium for what seems to be like maybe the final time. I mean, I'm hoping there's still like opportunities to renegotiate and make something happen. I feel like it's going to be very weird to see Mason Mount not playing for us, and I'm not too sure about the message that sends, but I'll get upon that later on in this video. But the Times are reporting that with news that most academy grads could be surplus requirements or could be sold for financial reasons. It's not going down too well with some of the club staff, and especially academy staff in particular, who are questioning their futures now if many of the guys they've worked with and helped mold and build over like a decade plus worth of work are suddenly leaving the club overnight. I feel like sometimes as fans, like maybe we don't really tap into like the emotional side of the game too well. Like we don't try and like see things from like maybe the ground level point of view. And for me, if I was like a Chelsea staff member where, it's been a lifetime achievement to see basically the embodiment of like 13 years of hard work representing our blue shirt out on Stamford Bridge in front of the fans. That's like the accomplishment of a lifetime. To have this amount of grads coming through a generation where you've been working on their game since they were like 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, etc, etc. I can definitely understand why you might feel a certain type of way to see all these guys suddenly go, and you might think to yourself, how does my coaching, how does my work complement the future vision of this club when they're so quick and easy to constantly turn to the market to fix any and every solution? Like all these things that do make up team spirit, that like Chelsea spirit, it's not just exclusively from winning games. It's about the relationships behind the scenes with the staff, the players, the coaches, everything. If everything's positive and healthy, that's how you build a fully united squad. And this is stuff that we shouldn't undermine, because Pochettino believes in this type of thing as well too. He wants his squads to be united in their core vision of his principles and his philosophy and his ways of playing. So that really goes to show you how important it is to have a united front behind the scenes. And let's not forget too, we're thinking about the senior COBHAM grads, but look at guys like Charlie Webster and Mendo Adogu. We have top quality prospects here that could also be leaving us this summer. So it's said to be an incredible exodus of COBHAM grads. And in my opinion, I feel like we have to be a bit responsible with the amount of guys that we allow to leave. Now, on one hand, a part of me thinks, in my opinion, are we really set to lose this amount of COBHAM grads, knowing the fact that your Ziyech's and your Pulisics, Covers, and many of these guys are also surplus requirements as well too. And I say this because even if you had a plan one day of replacing all these guys, it has to be done gradually, because if new guys from different leagues and different countries are being signed, so who are going to be the players that's going to look after them, show them around the city, get them familiar with life at this club, what this club means, etc, etc. Like you do need to have like those cool social groups as well too. And for me, I think that there could be consequences if so many did leave in one go. It gets me thinking about negative things like the future. Like could Reece James finally, stop flirting with Real Madrid and finally accepts to go there one day? Could Coral think, I don't know, I don't see myself ending my career at this football club? I'm not too sure. Like maybe I'm overthinking. And I'll hold my hands up. But we have to remember, we have a state-of-the-art academy. It's ranked as one of the best and highest in Europe. One of the reasons why we were able to win the Champions League and secure Champions League football at the time was because we turned to our academy after our transfer ban, where we lost Eden Hazard and many more. So we can't forget and dismiss the impacts of having a top quality academy that can create the odd first team star, that can create the squad option, that can create backups, can create profit for you if you sell them on and they have no futures here. It can't just be dismissed. We've seen an influx of great teen talent leave our academy. And we can't forget the impact that Mounts and Co's had when they first broke in. I mean, guys like Lewis Horse, for example, they're looking to the last generation as their inspiration. They want to emulate that success. That's part of our club's history and legacy. All the future COBHAM guys are going to look at this generation, the one that had so many first team players involved, and they want to emulate that. So all I'm hoping is that we are responsible. I accept maybe 2 could leave, but if it's more than like 5 or 6, I think the long-term message you're sending, in my opinion, for me, it's a bit of a negative one. And you guys might be thinking, Nini, you're moving a bit sentimental, you're getting a bit emotional. But for me, I've always been like a big fan of watching youth football. You guys know I'm a football nerd, that's why I'm running a football channel. And I'm telling you, there's like no greater feeling when you're seeing these like young youths playing in their academies, and then you're seeing the guys that are going to represent your first team in the future. It feels like you've been rewarded for your investment. And for me, it's no different to discovering like, I don't know, a new artist or like a new band before the mainstream do, or like discovering a new film or whatever that no one's onto right now. I think it's the same principle, to be fair with you. So I've never really felt how some people can just be so anti-academy, and I kind of feel like it's all misguided because you know what it's like online, right? You have 2 different groups and factions who are constantly going back and forth, It's a never-ending battle that will never ever stop, and it just like creates an escalation of like misguided ideas and negative thoughts, in my opinion. But regardless, man, I do feel like the sentimental stuff is why we love the game to begin with, right? Like, it can't just be this cold pursuit of like trophies and points all the time. I think football clubs are a bit more than that. Let's keep things real. So, my guys, that note, they're my thoughts and opinions, and that's content out for today. Expect more big drops tomorrow. Blue Lions TV has you covered this summer. And of course, thank you to all your support, and thank you for watching me for all these years as well. So my friends, I'm EFC, this is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.